Hi guys, it's Stephanie with So Make It. Today we're going to work on the flap for the NCW wallet. Since I have a printed fabric, I am just going to place the pattern piece on the fabric to determine where I want it to show. So I've decided that I want the trucks to be in the center of the wallet or of the flap. So I'm going to fold my flap pattern piece in half, and I'm just going to line it up where I want the design to show. So I want my trucks in the center of the flap. So I'm just going to line it up so that my trucks will be in the center of the flap, and I'm going to mark across the top. I have a pin right now just so that you'll be able to see in a moment. This is going to be sewn up in a seam later, so I'm not concerned about it staining the fabric at all. I have ironed the Pellon 809 onto the flap, both the interior and the exterior, and I'm just going to start marking it here so that I know where I want to place my pattern. My trucks are going to be showing there. And now I'm just putting the exterior of the flap face down and the interior or the lining face up, and I'm going to pop a couple of pins in so that the fabric doesn't shift. Now I'm just going to lay the pattern piece down. I'm going to look again to make sure that I get the trucks lined up within that pattern piece the way that I want them. They're in the center there. And then I'm going to just make sure that I have enough room on the edge to catch both the lining and the exterior on both ends. And I'll just take my ruler and trim the top straight. And then I'm just going to pop a couple of pins across the top. And I'll take this piece and just cut along the pattern to get the rest of the flap cut out. And my battery died, so you're not going to see me cutting the flap, but I just kind of cut the flap in the shape that I want it. So I did cut the rest of the flap out. I just kind of folded it over to make sure that it was symmetrical, and I have the shape that I want. It does differ a little bit from the pattern. I didn't want the curves and dip that's in the normal pattern. I wanted this one to be a little bit different, and I decided to use my 1/4 inch foot. This foot is the normal foot that I use. It has the wider hole so that you can have your needle position in a few different places. So if you do decide to use a 1/4 inch foot like this one, which makes it super simple to maintain that 1/4 inch seam allowance, you'll just need to be careful and make sure that you do adjust the needle so that it fits down into the little hole that's in the 1/4 inch foot. If you don't, you may end up breaking a needle. I've done it a few times. So here I'm just checking to make sure that my needle is lined up with the hole in the 1/4 inch foot. And I'm just going to start sewing the flap. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to backstitch the beginning and the end. And I'm just going to sew slowly around the curves. Now I'm just going to trim the threads and double check my stitching. And now I'm just going to clip the curves. I'm just clipping from the edge of the fabric right up to close to the seam line. I'm being careful not to cut my stitches. Clipping along the curves just helps the fabric lay flatter when we get it turned out. That way it's going to give it a nice finished look. And you may have noticed that I have only sewn around 3 sides of the flap. The top of the flap is left completely open. That makes it easier for us to turn it out. And the flap is going to be caught in a seam line, so there's no reason to close that off. Now that I have all the corners clipped, I'm ready to turn it right side out. I'm just going to push the seams out, make sure that they're going to lay nice and flat. And sometimes it takes a little time to get all the edges laying out like you want them. And with this wallet, don't be afraid to be a little creative. I didn't have a piece of fabric that was wide enough for the flap, so I've just sewn on an accent piece to make the fabric long enough. I think I have all the seams pushed out and it looks pretty nice. I'll go ahead and press it and then come back and top stitch. Now I'm ready to finish the top stitching on the flap. I am still using my 1/4 inch foot, and I'm changing my stitch length to a 3.0. And I'll just top stitch around the outside edge. Just kind of go slow around the curves. Now we'll just trim our threads, and this is our top stitched flap. Now it's ready to go into the wallet. In the previous videos we constructed the credit card slots and the double zipper pocket. So now all of our bits and pieces are done, and we're ready to construct the wallet in the next video. Feel free to like, subscribe. I hope you're enjoying the content, and I'll see you soon.